Hey everyone, before I start my latest video, Cove Audio has an awesome special for all viewers of this channel. For a limited time only, you can get a pair of their noise-canceling Bluetooth headphones for 65% off. That's an original price of $159.99 and now just $55.99. That's a great deal, so make sure you check out the link below. When I look at the running backs in the 2019 NFL Draft, I don't see a premier all-star talent. There isn't one guy who I think deserves to be taken in the first round. However, there is still a lot of talent as you get into day 2 of the draft. You have guys like Josh Jacobs out of Alabama, you have a guy like Devin Singletary from Florida Atlantic, and you also have a guy like Darrell Henderson out of Memphis. While I don't think any of these 3 players are worth a first round grade, they each offer something unique to their future teams. For this video, we're going to do something a bit different than usual. Instead of only talking about one of these players, we're going to go over each of their traits and discuss where I think they should be taken in this draft. Let's start this breakdown with Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, who's a 5'10", 220-pound back, is one of those players who uses burst and power to fight for extra yards. He has great lower body contact, and he keeps his legs driving through each carry. I love how he absorbs hits and can quickly get through the hole. Take this carry against Mississippi State in the first quarter. It's 3rd and 1, and Alabama motioned the quarterback outside, so Jacobs took a direct snap out of shotgun. Bama then called inside zone sift. They used a tight end as a sift blocker to protect the opposite side of the formation. Based on how the defense filled their run assignments, this gave Jacobs a one-on-one in the C gap. He lowered his center of gravity, used his shoulder to take on the linebacker, and then he rumbled forward for a 10-yard gain. Looking at his tape, I love how he finishes each run. It's almost always forward, and he has a surprising amount of burst, agility, and power to gain every yard. Now, the reason why I don't think he's a first-round talent, even though I do think it's very close, is because I don't think he's elite in any particular category. He has a nice combination of pass catching ability while being able to track the ball down the field, but I don't think he's the best at improvising, nor do I think his vision is elite. I do, however, think that out of any running back in this class, Jacobs is the most complete in terms of what he offers to a prospective team. If he was drafted at the end of the first or early second, I think that's a good place for him to be taken. For his pro comparison, I think he's pretty similar to Knowshon Moreno. Both are roughly the same size, and while Moreno didn't exactly live up to his draft expectations, I think Jacobs could be a nice complementary back with third down abilities. He could become the lead back for his team pretty early. Next on our list is Devin Singletary out of Florida Atlantic. Right away, and as soon as you turn on his tape, you have to love his vision and his improvisational skills. What makes Singletary a really good runner is his ability to press and set up each run. I love his patience, I love how he maximizes every yard, and I love how he uses smooth acceleration to change gears and execute cuts. His ability to slip tackles is nothing like I've seen before. It's honestly incredible. This carry against Oklahoma showcases all these traits. After taking the snap, Singletary stepped around the initial penetration and pushed into the A-gap past the center. He used his vision and patiently waited until the safety fully committed this hole. He then lowered his hips while pressing the blocker and bounced his run to the next gap. This allowed him to get outside. As soon as he got to the first down marker, he spun out of the first tackle and then kept churning for more yards. He was finally taken down after a 26-yard gain. This play showcases his natural ability to run in any offense. I think he's one of the most talented pure runners in this class. Now, for as much as I like about him, his versatility is not nearly as high as Jacobs. His targets decreased over his 3 seasons, and I think that had to do with his inability to catch the ball. He dropped 4 of his 10 targets this season alone. Also, when you factor in his height and weight standing at just 5'7" and 203 pounds, he's not exactly built to take a ton of hits. Plus, at that size, his combine was absolutely dreadful. He ran a 4.66 40-yard dash, and his other numbers were far from inspiring. While I do think he can pass protect, you just have to worry that he's more of a change of pace back, and at most you're only getting him for 12 to 15 carries a game. I do like his upside in route running and the crispness of his cuts, but his negatives are clearly noted. For Singletary, my pro comparison is LaShawn McCoy. Based on his vision, his ability to create yards, and his ability to set up defenders, I think he could be the sleeper out of all the running backs in this draft. Regardless of this semi-bold prediction, I could still only give him a 3rd round grade. Last but not least, let's talk about Darrell Henderson out of Memphis. When you look at Henderson, you can't not be impressed with his eye-popping totals that he put up in this offense. He gained over 1,900 rushing yards this season alone. He was constantly making big plays. His instant burst and downfield speed is what made this all happen. If they gave him an inch, he would burst through and take it a mile. This play against Central Florida came to mind. Out of shotgun, Memphis ran counter to the right. The backside guard kicked out the end man of the line of scrimmage, while the tight end should have pulled through the open hole to take on the linebacker. Unfortunately, he was late off the snap. Regardless, Henderson took the ball, ran behind the guard, and slipped a tackle that should have been blocked by the tight end. This allowed him to get into secondary where he ran past the safety and finished this run for a 62-yard score. As you can see in this last play and some of the previous plays I showed, his burst and downfield vision is what makes him a good running back. You also have to note that he was given a ton of wide open running lanes that he completely exploited. It was pathetic watching the defenses attempt to block this line. This drastically contributed to a large percent of his yards. If you just look at him as a player though, Henderson runs with a narrow base and an upright stance. His running style is pretty much point A to point B, and he doesn't seem to have a ton of elusiveness in space. I think he's good at creating angles based on his downfield vision, but it does worry me that he doesn't seem as polished to avoid head-on tackles as much as the other guys. Another thing that I also noted was that Henderson doesn't really ever change his gears. He's one speed and that's all out fast. In my opinion, this is fine for sweep plays and for plays where he needs to hit the perimeter, but he'll need to improve his pacing if he wants to be successful in inside hitting runs. The last thing that I'm going to say about Henderson is that while he's not the best pass protector, his receiving skills are pretty solid. He didn't drop a single pass all season. I think he can improve his ability to break routes, especially when he lines up as a slot receiver, but I do like his versatility. It's really fun to watch. For Henderson, my pro comp is Dalvin Cook. Now, I liked Cook better when he came out of Florida State, and I gave him an early second round grade. Meanwhile, I currently have Henderson as a third round player. I think he's a change of pace back and a wide zone scheme at the next level until he improves on his weaknesses. Before I wrap up this video, I went through and tracked 250 rushing attempts between these three players. Here are the results. Based on this graph, Henderson created the most yards on his own by far for his team. But I will ask one question. Is it easier to create more yards for your offense when your blocking gets you 6 yards down the field, or is it easier when you have a defender in your face after you get the ball? These are obviously extreme scenarios, but this is why I think Devin Singletary's figures are the most impressive of this group. His ability to slip tackles and create yards on his own is why I love him as a player. He created more yards than his scheme and offensive line did for him. Overall, when I look at these three running backs, I would take them in the following order. Jacobs is first as he received my highest score with an early second round grade. I would then take Singletary and Henderson. As I mentioned previously, I gave both these last two running backs third round grades in this draft. Now, what this means is that while it's very possible that Jacobs is taken in the first round, this is one of those years where drafting a running back in the middle of day 2 can still get you a very talented guy. Grabbing either of these last two players would still be a very solid acquisition for your team. In my opinion, they each offer something unique based on their skill sets, and they should each instantly contribute at the next level. As I mentioned at the start of this video, my generous sponsor this week is Cove. If you're in the market for a new set of Bluetooth noise cancelling headphones, they have a great special for all viewers of this channel. For a limited time only, they are offering a 65% discount on your order. That's right, at an original price of $159.99, they are now just $55.99. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had the great pleasure of using these headphones. I like them a lot. What's nice is that they are wireless so you can use them on the go or at the gym, and they are great for fitness type activities. Plus, since they are noise canceling with a built-in microphone, you can use these at work for hands-free phone calls as well. I've noticed that on a single charge, I can usually get around 6 to 7 hours, which is great for what I need them for. I highly recommend them, and if you want high-quality sound at a very reasonable and discounted price, go ahead and use the promo code SG65 or by following the link below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. As discussed before, I'll continue updating my big board on my Patreon account and will be releasing some mock drafts once April rolls around. Also, if you want to reach out to me directly, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel R. Gold.